Student Live, Student Voices is being brought to you as a service of Ken Stopel Ford, Central Texas Electric Co-op, Totality Over Texas, Vogel Tractors, Joseph Financial Partners, Medical Arts Pharmacy, and Celebrity Care Medical Clinic.
This episode of Student Live, Student Voices opens the discussion of career paths to include the culinary arts, newly founded career specialties, and entrepreneurship. Moderators for today's episode are Trish Dwyer-Morgan and Ruth Ann Marshall, a reporter and announcer at HC Broadcasting and a professional chef. She brings her expertise to this episode's conversation with Micah Weldon, instructor for culinary arts, and student completers Lauren Monaco and Robbie Griffin. They both have completed required career and technical education courses and certificates within the culinary arts pathway of Fredericksburg ISD. This is Student Live, Student Voices, and we are talking to
Micah Weldon, and I am the Culinary Arts Teacher at Fredericksburg ISD.
How many kids do you have in the program at any given time?
About 200, give or take.
That's amazing. I know there's like 900 kids who are in all the programs. Culinary Arts, is it one of the largest ones?
Yes, ma'am. Ag and me are like Ag's number one, I'm second, and then I'm not sure from there. But we're making a big way for sure.
That's
it's exciting. It is, yes, ma'am.
What are the steps in this pathway? What kind of classes do they start off with, and then where do they go from there?
So it starts out with hospitality and tourism, which is a semester. Then it goes into intro to culinary, so introduction to culinary, which is a semester. Then they go into culinary arts, which is a full year, advanced culinary, which is a full year, but it's double blocked, so they get me for 2 hours. Okay. And then they can go into either food science and complete their pathway, or they can go into the work program and complete their pathway. They can go into practicum and complete their pathway. There's a lot of different options for them to go ahead and complete. But when they leave me, they will have 3 certifications, and that's the food handlers, the food managers, and then a meat cert. So they will be certified where they can inspect meat and they know the grades of different meats. And then with food science, they get a different certification through a program called ICEV. And then if they go through like the practicum or the work program, that's when they start making money.
Oh, wow. And how did you become to be the culinary arts teacher?
So my husband actually applied down here to be a coach. I have my own bakery and catering business, and he said, well, they have a culinary arts position posted, and I was like, perfect, sold. So here we are, and it's been an incredible journey. The kids make it so much fun. Like, it's such a passion to go hang out with them every day and teach them something new where they like light that fire and get them hungry to not like physically hungry, but I guess physically hungry too because you smell the food. But they just have so much fun, and it's nice to, like, you're making an impact on these babies, and it's a good impact. It's a fresh impact. It's something that they will always remember, and it's not just a class.
Mm-hmm. Well, how did you get into the culinary arts? What drew you to it?
I have such a passion to bake, and everything that ever feels important is always at the kitchen table, so it's always been a big passion of mine, and I always knew I was going to be a teacher, so it worked out really well.
That's very cool. What do you enjoy about being able to do this where you're actually introducing people to a career path, not just a one-off class?
It's a different experience. It's not just like pushing them into the industry, it's building a life skill. Like, you have to learn how to cook or you're gonna starve to death, and ramen noodles don't work whenever you go to college. So to teach them something that they're going to use constantly just makes you feel like you're helping. But the other thing is, like, they get to see your heart and they get to hang out with you daily, and it's not just a class where you're structured and you have to teach that this has to work this way or this recipe has to be this way. Like, experiment. If it works, great. Oh well, if it doesn't, we'll throw it away and we'll try something else. So it's not just one thing that draws you to it. It's so many other things that add together to make this class so special.
What do you think differentiates for the kids who just have the passion to make it a career versus the kids who really love it, but it's more of a life skill?
It's a passion. This industry is hard, and sometimes as the younger kiddos get in there, they get burnt out. So if they don't have that passion instilled in them, it just doesn't work. So it really depends on where their heart is and if they truly are serious about being in the industry, or if they just want to come in and hang out and play and learn some cool skills.
And as someone who's both involved in it as a culinary artist, as well as someone who's a teacher, do you see also the artistic side come out in kids that maybe didn't have it or know that they had it before?
Yes. Yeah. So we do a whole cake decorating thing in September, and there were kids that had never iced or decorated cakes that were just blowing me away on the final of that month. They were incredible, and they got to kind of spread their wings and realize, like, man, I am good at this, where they had never had the opportunity to do that before.
Entrepreneurial spirit
Yes, ma'am.
seems to be a part of the culinary arts too. Do
Yeah.
you find that?
Yeah, so we do, at the end of the spring semester, we do the food truck final, where they have to create an entire food truck and from the ground up, and they get to plan and figure out what their, if they go into buying a food trailer, what that food would be, how they would market it, how they would design it, what specials they would have, their menu and all of that. So they have to tap into that entrepreneurial side, yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It is.
Wow.
It's a big undertaking. It's a long project, but man, they knock it out of the park every single time. It is crazy to see what they come up with.
Moderator, Ruth Ann Marshall.
I just have one question.
Okay.
Is there any experience or any plan or any way actually thinking about how to also let these kids know one of the cold hard realities of this business is
Yes.
how difficult it can be, how stressful it can be,
Yes.
and the hard labor, hot, heavy, high up.
Yeah, so we did a fundraising dinner last year with a really high-end chef, and it was a reality check for some of them, and some of them just went as hard into this industry as they could. So they do get the reality. And then the other thing is I am kind of protective, and I do make sure that I filter my chefs where they don't get cussed at when they walk into a kitchen, and they don't get things thrown at them. But nobody cried. I did have one of the chefs broke something and it terrified them, and they were like, we're not going back. And I was like, no, you have to go back. Like, he's a cool dude, I swear. He's German, it's fine. They have got a reality check, but it's not a mean one. And they have talked, like, Travis Tucker is one that has really put his wings around my kiddos and put them into a safe environment to learn, but it's a good environment, and it's a reality where it's like, okay, this is a high pressured situation, and I do have to get 500 plates out in 30 minutes, and people are going to be mad if I don't pour their drinks right and set their food down properly. So they have got that experience, and it's real life, and it's been really cool to see them
I would hate for them
thrive.
to have to go into that and not have any idea that that's how it is.
No. And I do tell them we do a lot of high pressured stuff at school where, like, we've cooked for teachers for lunch, and if you don't get it out in 10 minutes, they're going to be kind of upset at you. So they've had to feel that pressure before, and they have knocked it out of the park.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like you're all doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thanks for having us.
Welcome back to Student Live Student Voices, a production of HC Broadcasting and KNAF-AM 910. Being passionate about a career choice is often associated with commitment to a career and dedication to professional growth. Studies show that passion can come in more than one flavor, and that other factors can intervene in this passion-focused view of career choice. Harmonious passion that works within the work environment, is often associated with career satisfaction, but life, including work-family interactions, can intervene. Also, passion for a career that becomes obsessive can work against satisfaction in the traditional workplace. Students in today's conversation seem to be already aware of the realities of how their passion must be balanced by work and education, and how it interacts with other elements of their lives. One has chosen entrepreneurship, and the other is forging a path on a new variation combining culinary arts and nutrition. Now it's time to hear their stories. For more information about this complex interaction, check out the resources listed in our Facebook post for today's Student Live Student Voices, and/or on the description section of the YouTube podcast. This is Student Live Student Voices, and one of your moderators, Trish Dwyer Morgan, and we are speaking with...
I'm Lauren Monaco. I'm a senior at Fredericksburg High School, and I completed the path for culinary arts.
And how did you come to this particular choice of the path? Was it your particular focus to start with?
I was stuck freshman year between going to the police and law enforcement pathway or the culinary arts pathway, and last second I switched it to the culinary arts pathway just from interest, and I'm glad I chose that decision.
What did you like most about that pathway? What drew you to it versus the law enforcement one?
I would say just the like concept of always being together. It's very hard to complete a project, especially the big projects that we do, by yourself. And so it's just like constantly having that support and that groupness and togetherness in the classroom.
Very cool. What are the kinds of big projects that you did together?
We did a big charcuterie board for the school board, and we also do stuff for teachers constantly, stuff for parents, any special events. The military, when they came to our school to give presentations, we do stuff for them. Just basically anyone who comes to Fredericksburg.
So you guys both already have experience doing event planning and catering for it. Do you have a signature dish? I understand that you actually have your own business. You want to tell us a little bit about that? You bake?
Yes, I started doing that. I worked at one of the peach stands in Fredericksburg, Gold's Orchard, and I was the pie lady. And we also do breads. We did some like dips, ice cream, pies, all that stuff. And so I decided to use my skill that I learned there to sell during the holiday season, especially during Thanksgiving and Christmas, just to share love and get my money up, I guess.
Do you have a signature dish that you particularly like?
My signature dish is probably my dad. He taught me how to make enchiladas when I was little, and I make those for any event that I have.
Very cool. And it sounds like there's a strong bond between the young people in this path, that you guys really get a chance to work together closely. Is that right? Are these like lifelong friendships or business relationships?
Yes, being on both ends. I had a senior graduate last year who we became extremely close just from being in this pathway. We also are both athletes together, and us just being together. So me being the younger one, as well as now being a senior and getting to have that experience with some of the younger kids, I think that it creates lifelong bonds that are really good.
Cool. And how does having a chance to be on this career path while still in high school, how do you think that helped you with your future plans?
On top of getting the food manager certification, it just gave me more experience and more perspective. I got to talk to very high level chefs and talk to them on how they achieved their goals, and did they go to culinary school, or did they go to college, or did they do both, or just different perspectives on how I can plan my future.
And how did you plan yours for the next few years? I understand you're going to go to business school first and then culinary arts, is that right?
I'm planning on going to a university and continuing my athletic career and getting my business marketing degree at the same time, and then after that I will go to San Antonio to go as a student for the Culinary Arts Institute of America.
Ooh, very cool. And what athletics are you in?
I'm a varsity volleyball and varsity soccer player.
And so did being a part of this program make going to school more meaningful and enjoyable for you?
I would say yes, just because it almost was like a mental break. Even though we had constant projects and everything, like cooking to me and baking to me is very therapeutical. And so it's like a way to escape like all the homework and the chaos and all the chaos, especially in high school, being a girl. Like, it was just very calming and like a little family in there.
Well, I'm going to turn it over to Ruth Ann Marshall right now.
Well, it sounds like you've done a lot of fun stuff. Is there something that you want to try?
I feel like I've tried a lot of like American and Mexican cuisine, so I would like to try more maybe like European or Mediterranean dishes.
Oh yeah, my favorite. One of my favorites. And so in your class, do y'all get to plan together anything that you want to learn how to do, or is that curriculum already laid out?
No, Miss Walden is very open to letting us try new things. The friend that I mentioned that graduated last year, she was obsessed with different pastas, and so we got to make homemade tortellini with like a homemade pesto sauce. We get to, when I worked with high-level chefs, I got a completely designed by myself a chocolate cake with like a raspberry like sauce on top of it, and she gave me complete creativity like privileges to do that by myself.
And you aced it?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you're having lots of fun. Sounds like you're doing great things. Keep going.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Student Live Student Voices, a production of HC Broadcasting and KNAF-AM 910. According to a study by the Center on Education and the Workforce at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., young people who pursue an associate degree, skills training, or certificate by age 22 had a 29% chance at a good job by age 30 compared to those who did not. A good job for this study was identified as one that paid the minimum for economic self-sufficiency, which is a median annual salary of $57,000. Those who did not pursue a higher education by 22 had a 23% chance at a good job by age 30. Researchers identified 38 decision points that could impact a student's job success by age 30 among those pursuing higher education and at what age. The study focused on students who did not immediately leave for college after high school, who have already been shown to have a better chance for higher paying jobs by age 30. When looking at options open to high school students, the Georgetown study showed that participating in CTE programs during the high school years stood out from the rest for its potential to improve outcomes for youth who are expected to graduate from high school and do not plan to pursue a bachelor's degree by age 22. A specialization in CTE, career and technical education, during high school is associated with a 3 percentage point increase from 26% to 29% in the likelihood of having a good job at age 30 among youth who are expected to graduate from high school and aren't going to be pursuing a degree. Making progress towards a bachelor's degree or by replacing or combining classroom learning with on-the-job learning were particularly effective pathways to career success. It should be noted that the success of different pathways did vary by race, gender, and class they found. For example, while specializing in career and technical education in high school did increase the likelihood of obtaining a good job by age 30 for some, but not for all groups of students. For example, outcomes were not as decisive for women students and students who were Hispanic, depending on the career paths chosen. So this is Student Live, Student Voices, and we are talking to students from the culinary arts.
I'm Robbie Griffin. I'm a senior, and I'm in the culinary arts pathway.
Excellent. And you've already completed. You are one of what they call a completer, so you've already completed the pathway. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. How did you decide you wanted to be in this particular pathway, and what was your focus? What were you thinking about when you decided to join that particular path?
Originally, it was not my pathway. I was in the medical pathway, and I took Intro to Culinary as like an extra class because I liked baking and cooking as a hobby, and then I really fell in love with like all the different aspects of the actual cooking and then the learning about budgeting and everything that comes with it.
Having a chance to try out different career paths really worked for you. What did you like most about the culinary arts pathway? What sticks with you the most when you're thinking about it?
Probably the opportunity to do so many different things, because you can cook as much as you want, really, like different opportunities to try out different ingredients, but as well as like budgeting and working with different like nutrition facts and different ingredients like that. So.
And you actually, you're not currently doing the work side of things yet, but you did at one point, you were working for a restaurant?
Yes, I worked for a bake shop called Twisted Sisters.
But because of the certificate you got when you completed, which was the food manager certificate, you actually were able to walk into the shop and work at a higher salary. Is that correct?
I worked there before I got my certification, but yes, once I communicated with my boss that I had gotten that, I did get a little increase in my salary and was able to work like by myself if I needed to on certain days.
Oh, very cool. So you are looking at, what are you looking at for your next steps for your career in culinary arts? What does that look like for you?
My next steps are included in the more nutritional side. I want to be a sports nutritionist and work with people in their food plans for like recovery, or if they need to gain weight, if they need to gain muscle, stuff like that.
That's fascinating. I didn't even really think about it and know that was a path. Is that something that you learned about as you were studying, or?
Yes, I remember we did a project and we had to do a weekly plan of like meal plan for a certain person with like a different disability. So I did diabetes because my dad has diabetes, so I worked with what a meal plan would look like that for different like health needs and different, so that's where I learned about that.
It's a path that's both skills building and an art form. Do you feel the difference or see the difference sometimes in the things that you do, or do you think it combines and that each thing, some of it's skills, some of it's art, and some of it's both of it together at the same time?
I do. There is a difference at some point because we do learn about budgeting and how to work with certain ingredients so you don't waste money or waste ingredients, but it is a lot of it working together because you do get to create something beautiful and something delicious, as well as using your resources wisely. And
very cool. Yes. You've made friends and you've worked in teams. What is that like? What's that experience like for you?
It's very interesting. I definitely have met some people I probably would have met, especially in my advanced class. There's only 8 of us, and so we were like a little family. We worked well differently, and then we were good at different things, but we worked well, and so it was
Very cool. Does this make school a more enjoyable experience or a more meaningful experience for you as you think about your future?
definitely more meaningful and more enjoyable, because as it is helping me with my future, it also gives me a pathway to like express myself through different foods and through different projects that we've done. So when I get to like those classes, I can be free, I can be myself and express those like thoughts through my food. So
excellent. Ruth Ann, listening, did you have any questions?
So I was a chef for 10 years. Your answers were very interesting. I'm very excited that you guys are learning how to cook for special needs, because we didn't learn that in school. We had to learn that on our own. So it's really great you're learning that, and it'll get more important if you decide to choose this as a path. So did you come with some skills?
I came with a few skills because I have enjoyed like baking, especially as a hobby. My mom and I used to cook, we cook all the time, so a few, but I've definitely learned way more than I thought I was going to. So
Good. Well, right, I came from a long line of good home cooks, and so I came with some skill and some passion. So it sounds like you have the same thing. Do you plan to use this as a career?
Yes and no. I plan to be a sports nutritionist, so I plan to help people find healthy ways to like reach their goals, and especially in athletes with like recoveries or muscle building. And so, but it doesn't always have to be just salads and stuff. It can be delicious meals as well.
Absolutely. I'm very proud of you for that. I'm very excited because food can heal us.
Yes.
So you keep going. It's good talking to you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, some final words from Micah. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to share with the listeners about the program or about the kids in the program, or?
Just that we're continuing to try to be better and do better and come up with new and more things that we can be more involved in the community. We have been really more driven towards school. This year I had an opportunity to go to the Light Festival, and we just didn't have things work out the way we needed it to. So keep on the lookout for us to be more involved in the community and more as far as like the food and wine thing, like we will be more present. So yes, keep an eye out for us in our little food truck and all the cool things that we're doing.
Excellent. And also I understand that the bond issue was passed. So
yes, ma'am.
You guys are getting a renovation in the Culinary Arts section. Are you guys all excited? Did they get a chance to dream about what that'll look like and have a say? Or?
Yeah, so yesterday I went and toured kitchens in San Antonio, and we are putting together a list of what I loved from those kitchens and things that I didn't love from those kitchens. And we are getting a new building, the Culinary Arts Department, and then AgMech, so the welding department. We're getting a building together, and we could not be more excited. So it's getting built from the ground up, so we have a lot to say of what would work for us and our program and the kids.
We want to make sure that any of our listeners understand help is available from many sources. There is always hope, and nothing is inevitable. There are school counselors, reporting systems at schools, and even help through hotlines such as the 988 system. If you or someone you know is experiencing a mental health crisis, call 988 for assistance, or contact Texas Health and Human Services at 855-937-2372 to talk to a trained professional.
Thank you for listening to Student Live, Student Voices, brought to you by our sponsors, Ken Stopel Ford, Central Texas Electric Co-op, Totality Over Texas, Vogel Tractors, Joseph Financial Partners, Medical Arts Pharmacy, and Celebrity Care Medical Clinic.